No, he's fine. I mean, what's he gonna do? Kick the camera over? Well, those are not my favorite, but that's all we got. So it's either this water, which is black cherry sparkling water, or just regular water, which is not as tasty. Not even that I like black cherries, but anyways, it is Tuesday, which means tomorrow's hump day. We got Jace over here playing with the skeleton of Mr. Potato Head or Mrs. Potato Head, not sure which one it is. We got Bear standing dangerously close to the camera and no idea what he's doing. Jace is gonna get stuck here in a second. It is beautiful out today and he's stuck. Come here. So folks, I wanted to welcome you to Anderson Land of Trees Table Talk. Obviously this is the table. I've got an umbrella. This is my backyard. This is Jace. And I'm not really trying to set any parameters or rules or goals really for what this is going to be. There's obviously things I can hope for it to turn out to be, you know, whether it's intervals of uploading, and how many episodes we do, content, if we have guests or not. I spent a lot of time thinking about that, but it's just not gonna be I just don't have enough time really to put such restraints on what this show is. But we'll give it our best to be as transparent as possible, practicing good business ethics, sharing advancements in science, you know, reacting to situations that we run into on the weekly, the daily, the monthly, whatever it may be, and maybe even things that we come across just in life. But this will be more of a business focused video cast, pod video pod. Is that a thing? How do you say a video but a podcast? A video pod. I like that. So that's what this will be. Jace is walking over to his slide over there, and I wanted to pretty much just basically start this this event, this video pod.
Where's your son?
Right there on his slide. And just basically kind of frame what Anderson Land Tree does, because obviously we do land work and we do tree work. Where those meet though is what makes us unique. There are a lot of guys who do land clearing, site development. There's a lot of guys who do tree work. There's a very select few that do both, and then there's, out of those, there's only a percentage of those that do it at what I would consider a high level. A high level to me is not who has the biggest machines, who has the most production. A high level to me is high quality work at competitive pricing models that encourage education of the customer, but also moving towards the future of doing a certain thing. So there's a famous saying that, not a famous saying, but just a famous meme, I guess. And it's a picture of an old man and a young guy, and the young guy, the old man's telling the young guy that he's dumb. He's been doing cutting trees down, right? He's been cutting trees down the same way for 30 years. It's the right way. It's the only way. And the young guy is like, well, congrats. You've been a moron for 30 years. So that meme has, excuse me, I have to throw my toy for my dog, or the dog's toy. But anyways, that meme has kind of stuck out to me and really been a filter that we try to move how we do business through. One of the filters. Hey, please don't play with outlets. No, we don't need to do that. Here, take your skeleton of Mr. Potato Head and run away. Hey, bear with me. Oh. So anyways, the couple of the services that we provide at as high a level as we can are obviously land clearing and tree services. Tree services can get broken down into trimming, removals, stump grinding, planting, yeah, pretty much those categories. And then obviously land development can be broken down, land services can be broken down into land clearing, forestry, mulching, vegetation management, excavation, and grading, other site work stuff. You do with dirt. Bear is just on a roll today. He is fired up. He just wants to play fetch all day. But anyways, my focus for work like this and moving forward is to be more focused on the forestry mulching because of how good of a product it is. Obviously, if you sell something, you have to believe in it in order to sell it. You have to believe that what you sell is the best thing out there. And trees are more of like a problem that just have to be solved. This tree is a hazard. It has to come down. This tree is going to be a hazard. We have to trim it. The stump is just, it's not providing any asset. There's no value. It has to be ground, right? It's really hard to tweak the way you get a tree down, right? There's new technology and we leverage that as much as possible. But in the end, the same result is accomplished with tree work. But with forestry mulching, and the reason why this is like the focus of my goals for the future is because it accomplishes the same goal, but with a different end result than land clearing. So with land clearing, where traditionally we have large excavators, dozers, loaders with massive root rakes, we have to have silt fence, we have to have permits, then we have to bring in a $500,000 grinder, tub grinder, to grind it all up and make mulch, or you have to haul it off whole, which is very ineffective, and then it gets ground up off site. There's just so many moving parts, just tons of moving parts, but the land is then stripped. It is down to bare dirt. Now, full disclaimer, there is a time and a place for stripping land. It's very rare in my opinion, and I'll explain why, but there is a time and a place for it. Road building, 100% strip that land. I don't want to see my tax dollars go to work on a road that In 5 years, looks like it's part of New York because there's so many potholes in it. Because it's the vegetation underground is breaking down, and then the road caves in certain areas. That's not a good thing for me. So road, yeah, strip it, get everything out. Commercial construction projects where there's parking lots, there's massive warehouse, you know, thousands of square foot of building going up, sure. But for residentials, no, not seeing it. So forestry mulching can do what land clearing can do. And like I said, the end result is different, but the goal is still accomplished, because the goal of land clearing is to make the lot buildable, make that piece of land buildable. But the goal should be to make the piece of land buildable in a budget-friendly way that's also environmentally responsible. So, from an energy standpoint, there's a few factors that you have to take into consideration. One of which is how much energy was spent to grow that vegetation, right? Because there's a certain amount of value in that. The nutrients that the vegetation has, the protection it provides to the land. I can't see my son. There he is. The protection it provides the land from erosion, the wildlife that can live on that land and enjoy it. There's all that time and energy that went into growing that vegetation has a certain amount of value. Now, it may not be a value that he's coming in. It may not be a value that can be attached to a dollar very easily, or the currency of your choice. But there is still some sort of value there, and you have to understand that. But on the flip side of that, also there is the value, the time and energy it takes to then strip that land. Now, Bear, back up. Come on. My dog is he's getting old, and he lost his hearing recently, so he doesn't pay attention very good. Back up. Don't touch the camera. Can you use that? Yeah? That's not what you're using that for, but yeah. Anyways, the time and energy it takes to strip the land can be attached to a monetary value, and can be upwards of $10,000 or tens of thousands of dollars per acre, depending on many factors. But if we can do that and reduce the amount of time on site, the amount of energy, which is fuel and labor and equipment power, horsepower, right? If we can reduce those and still attain the same goal, why wouldn't we? Well, forestry mulching goes in, we grind everything up. We grind the vegetation that can be ground up. Different machines, and we'll get into this in the coming episodes, but different machines out there, from small machines to monstrous machines, just walk right in and mow it down. Just like a mower, like a lawn mower, but instead of mowing your grass, it mows trees and bushes and stumps and logs and Brazilian pepper and palmettos and all that kind of stuff. But it does take X amount of horsepower to attain those goals. So with smaller machines, typically, like there's some that are low, what's called low flow. Those I'm pretty sure are capped at like 4-inch material. And so it's not 4 inch tall, it's 4 inch wide, so 4 inch diameter material. And those have to run very sharp knives in order to process that material, and lots of maintenance, and it's very slow. I would probably expect them to get a half an acre a day done at 4 inch material. So anything bigger than 4 inches would still stay, but it's just they're lacked on horsepower and hydraulic horsepower. So then there's bigger stuff that runs what's called high flow. That really gets the drums and the discs and the knives and the carbides and all the tools that forestry mulchers run, but really gets those things spinning at a higher rate of speed, which allows it to process larger materials. So pretty much 8 inches is good. Anything above 8 inches is great, but to me, the standard of anything that should be used on a forestry site, a forestry or land clearing job, should be able to process 8-inch material. The reason for that is typically there's a few counties in Florida where the DBH, which is the diameter breast height, right, what we measure things by, the DBH for what they consider a tree is 6 inches. There are some that are 10, and I think there's one over by a little west of Gainesville. There's a county over there that it's like 14. It's huge. It's crazy. But they say that you know, whatever the DBH is, so say it's, you know, well, let's use most counties. Most counties say it's 6 inches. So if the tree, or if the woody plant has a DBH of 6 inches or more, then it is a tree. If it is 5 inches, or, you know, 5.8 inches or less, you know, whatever that is, as long as it starts with a 5, then it's not a tree, and therefore is not protected under the legalities that trees are protected by. The mosquitoes are coming out. Let's bring my citronella over here. So the that's why I like that 8-inch mark, because it's a much more cost-effective machine, very efficient on fuel, but doesn't require permitting for the most part to do anything. Anything that machine can do at a high rate of speed doesn't require permits. And then what we do is we just go in and we reduce everything that machine can touch to the ground to mulch, and then leave it. This is the crucial part of why forestry mulching is so effective. I don't even know if this is recording still. Oh, it is. All right, good. Let's real quick just about to go out because of the wind. Oh no. I'm sorry for wind noise, if you get any. I have no idea where it's coming from. No idea. No idea at all. We're good. So anyways, the DBH, you know, let's just say it's 6 inches. We go in, we mulch everything under 6 inches and leave the mulch there on site. And this is the key power, the key attraction to forestry mulching compared to land clearing. Once all that vegetation is mulched, it gets left on site and left alone, it actually locks down and creates almost like a shield over the dirt, over the site. But all of the nutrients, all of the time and energy that was spent growing these plants, all of that value is now trapped on the ground in typically a 1 to 3 inch, depending on how thick the vegetation is, layer of mulch. What happens then is that mulch will break down and turn into very good topsoil, composty soil that we don't really have in Florida, because everything is sand here. But it also protects against erosion, which is very important. Silt fence is $4 per linear foot installed. So if you have 1,000 feet of silt fence to install, and say it's $2 per foot installed, that's $2,000 just to stop dirt from washing away. That's it, just to stop dirt, sediments, right? Stop silt, and to appease the governing bodies of your project. So the county or the state or the city. So you spend $2,000 just right off rip just to be able to then call in big machines and strip the land of any other resources. So mulching doesn't do that. You don't need that with mulching. Mulch is the erosion control device. So instead of silt fence, we use mulch. It's very effective, and it's it's super nice because there's no having to go back and fix the mulch. If you drive over a silt fence and it gets blown out because there's so much water being retained by it, you have to go back and fix it. So it's kind of one of those things that you have to factor into any clearing costs. And we're going to do a video one day here soon once I get the iPad linked up where I can actually do some whiteboard work and break down the difference of cost. Like, what is the true cost of land clearing from a business perspective, not from a client perspective? What's a business perspective? And then what's the cost of a forestry mulch project? So, oh, Jace is down. Mommy's got him now. So a few other, and we're probably just gonna end on this point because we're just trying to make these quick videos super easy to process. And Bear's really doing his best to knock this camera over today. Buddy, go lay down. Go lay down. But the nice thing about forestry mulching, on top of all those benefits, the benefits we see, right? Money, improved site conditions, erosion control, all that kind of stuff is very, no permits, all that stuff is great. But the most important thing, the respect and the I don't know if respect is the right word, but the value of the energy and time that it took to grow massive live oaks or huge any tree, really, right? Massive pine even, right? The time it took to grow that and the value of those trees is still protected because the roots stay intact. The soil profile is not violated in any way. It's not ripped apart. It's not, the roots aren't cut on trees that are staying. On typical land clearing jobs, even if a tree is staying, it still gets negatively impacted by any subsoil work, because to do your job effectively and to the degree of expectation that each customer has, you typically have to push the envelope of how close to get to things, how close to get to this tree or that body of water or that road, because if you pay for X amount of land to be cleared, you expect X amount of land to be cleared minus the very minimum that the government requires. So we cut down trees all the time that were negatively impacted by land clearing. They were not protected correctly. Sometimes, and it just happens with when you bring in a 100,000-pound excavator, it takes a second for that swing to stop. And if you have a young operator or an immature operator in the machine that doesn't that's not even, maybe it's an experienced operator still that doesn't that's not familiar with that specific machine, because they're all different, they might swing the bucket and hit a tree on accident, rip a branch off or something. So I've even seen just guys in dozers or loaders with root rakes on them that just accidentally went too close to the wrong tree, realized they were at the wrong tree from their map, and they back up, but the damage is already done, right? The roots are shredded, because they had to back it up and clean it out again. The roots are shredded, the tree is destabilized, and then the compression alone on top of that, just driving over these roots with hundreds of thousands of pounds of steel tracked equipment, can compress the roots on hardwoods, specifically oaks, to the point where the tree just starts to shut down. It's just like, thanks, Bear. They do things. There's lots of negatives to that. So that's another reason. That's just a bonus. Not even a bonus. It's a main A+ feature of forestry mulching, is the soil profile stays the same. Now, some people be like, oh, well, I don't want to build a house on top of vegetation. And I get that 100%. 100%. Oh, my God. Well, Jace was trying to drink some satin gray paint. Anyways, for those people who want to build a house but also want to protect the value of their trees, want to protect the value of their, their vegetation, and also then their soil profile, and the nutrients on that soil, I would say give us a call, 386-843-5266, because the way we do land clearing, we do the least amount that's effective. So we mulch everything. If you say mulch it, we'll mulch it, because if we're mulching it, it means it wasn't a dominant species of vegetation on that property, and reducing wildfire, reducing fuel, limiting disease and insect areas. There's lots of reasons to forestry mulch stuff, but leaving trees is also very beneficial. So if we come in, we forestry mulch, say it's a 1 acre property, we forestry mulch the entire property. Typically people want buffers. We leave the buffers. People think they need like 15 to 30 feet sometimes, when in fact you really just need like 5 to 10 feet. No one's looking at your property. No one's looking at you through your property. And if they are, a buffer ain't gonna stop them. So typically just a few feet of buffer works great. And then what we do after we mulch everything is we go in, and once you have a site plan, we pull permits. We get the permits required to do the actual land clearing, the more traditional land clearing. But instead of just raking everything out and hauling it away or burning it, which is actually getting more and more difficult to burn, but instead of just hauling everything away to the landfill, we literally just clear the area where the building is going to go, right? If you have a 1,000 square foot house, why do you have to clear 40,000 square feet, right? Just clear where the house is going, clear where the septic is going, clear if there's a dangerous tree that's going to be negatively affecting the house. Sure, go for that. Clear the driveway, clear where if you're going to put underground power, obviously clear that easement. But for the most part, your yard doesn't have to be root raked. It does. The trees around in your yard don't have to be root raked or cleared. We can leave them. It's amazing what people think they need to get rid of, and then we just show them like, no, all of that can stay, and we'll just take this and we'll do the land clearing for a third of the cost of what it would have cost to do the strip and clear. So yeah, this is forest mulching is what I'm like probably most passionate about as far as services we offer. Mostly because it is the best available option currently. If there becomes a better option, I'm doing my best to make sure that we are on the front lines, meeting with other industry professionals, meeting with manufacturers. This is a cat hat I have on right now. Understanding equipment and where it's going, and all of the industry as a whole, and then doing things like this, the video pod. I don't think that's actually what it's called. Video podcast probably is what it's called, but we're just gonna call it the Anderson Land Tree Table Talk. But just doing these forces me to understand, keep pushing progress in this industry, and being held accountable by all of our clients, and then also other industry professionals who see this. I have been told that if you want to learn, then teach, because you can't teach the same thing over and over again. You have to learn more and learn new stuff, present it creatively, and by doing so, I hope to not only be able to help prospective clients and professionals articulate better the benefits of what we do and how we do it, but also possibly learn and develop new ways of doing stuff that is also environmentally responsible and cost effective. If something is not cost effective but environmentally responsible, it's not going to be high on the list. It has to be both for it to be a effective an industry changing solution. So Bobcat, for example, is working on a hydraulic-less skid steer. Very interesting idea. It uses electronic actuators to lift the arms of the bucket. Not 100% sure on that because of the cost effectiveness. It does seem like it's going to be a very expensive machine to maintain, but definitely going to be looking at it, making sure that it's a good idea, because it might actually be better for forestry mulching due to the fact that if they can figure out an electronic mulching head, we might be able to leverage the power of an electric motor with that 100% instant torque, spin it up, and then we don't have to have any hydraulic oil, which we do have leaks sometimes, and that's always better to not have leaks when you're in sensitive areas like wetlands. But also, if we can get those figured out, then when this little guy is older, he can run equipment and be clearing your land too. But for now, he's just gonna stay home with mama and work on the computer with her and get your appointment scheduled and get your billing done. And yeah, so anyways, 386-843-5266. New website is going to be up momentarily. Working a lot on that. And yeah, that's it for today. Tuesday's table talk. We got to go to Lowe's real quick though. Are we going to Lowe's? What are we doing? I think we got to go to Lowe's. So I'm going to throw this on the computer, have it edited, and then it'll be up on the YouTube probably tomorrow. So see y'all later. Mm-hmm.